Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. Today I have a pound of ground pork and I'm going to season it up and make meatballs, and I'm going to put it in the gravy, and I'm going to be putting it over the rice. Now I'm going to put an egg in here with it. Let's see, do I want to put onion in it? Yeah, probably. I'm going to put about 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of wheat germ in it to make it more nutritious. I am going to be chopping up a lot of garlic. And the seasonings I'm going to use is rosemary, sage, salt and pepper. One of them peeled. I thought so. My grandfather used to talk that they used to leave garlic. They would braid it and dry it in the kitchen, because the kitchen was always hot because of the oven and stuff. And she would just cut it. It was hanging from the ceiling. He used to talk about it. So you could see things have really come a long way from what we remember. And they'd make their brandies and have it around the house. The house actually had food everywhere around it, you know. It wasn't just in one area. One person talked about his mother had peaches and sugar in her bedroom, and she told him not to touch it. And he said, well, when can I try it? And she said, when you're old enough. Well, that's where she made her brandy, because the bedroom was just the right temperature for it to ferment. One day, he tried it. And she said, well, see, I told you weren't old enough for it. Got drunk. So they didn't just have it, you know. Some people talked about the barn where they put their certain food in the barn. My grandmother had a barn, and she kept her canned goods out there. And you could see them when you walk through the side door of the barn. Not the big door, but a side door. You turn right and she had all her canning jars on the side there. But if you went through the big main doors, she had a big frame. She had material there. That's where she made her quilts. She was real good at making quilts. When she had time, she'd go out there, and she would set it up and she would sew. She made me a little girl's quilt. I cared for it beautifully. It's an old style. I had it since I was a little girl. And my mother let somebody use it, and they burnt a hole in it. I was really upset because I was careful. Never got any stains on it or anything, because I knew that was an heirloom. Well, because of that, it ruined an heirloom. Next thing I knew, it got cut up and everything else, and I was just like, you know? I treat ground pork like I would any other ground meat, and I make things with it. I love the flavor of rosemary, garlic, and sage together. There's another seasoning I have to get. I got a lot of seasonings this week coming up. I think my shopping cart's going to be full of seasonings. I'm going to put some salt in it to taste what you would consider equal to it. Yeah, it's that time of the year to start burying things in the yard again. Instead of making stock salad, because I got a lot of stocks. I am not lying, I got a ton of stocks in my pantry. As fast as I use them, I was making them. This summer, what I have left will actually have to carry me till autumn. Gonna need some parsley. You asked me how much garlic and how much sage, I couldn't even tell you. Because I do it with smell as you mix it. I have never really measured that out. I think I put about 6 garlic in, maybe 7. And sometimes I add beer into this, you know. It's good, by the way, it's very good. Now we need a binder in this, but I'm also going to pick up the protein. I am using soy flour. You know soybeans are high in protein. Ground up, I have a flour, and I use it in making pasta and stuff as well. So, why not? Why not indeed? So instead of breadcrumbs, I am going to add this and work it until I get what I want. I don't have much of that left. I'm going to have to be putting some orders together for Amazon to get this stuff. And I'll be going out and getting rosemary, then I'll work it in too. If it's too dry, I'll just add another egg to it. I'm going to be cutting rosemary in the dark, that's for sure, because the sun hasn't come up yet. Let me go get my rosemary and we'll get that going. And we'll be adding pepper to it as well. I'm not done, believe it or not. So let me go cut some rosemary and I'll be back. You know what I love about rosemary? Right now I'm taking the leaves off so I can dice them up and get them in. I can go all the way to Christmas. If it hasn't snowed, I can go out to my rosemary plant and still pick rosemary from it. And as soon as spring comes, you can go out. It's a very short time you don't get rosemary. And I love that. And I got a big bushel out there that I just love to walk next to it when and I feed it in the spring, and you can smell it in the yard when you walk by, and you can smell the thyme and the oregano. Oh my God, it is so nice. My son has mowed down some of my plants, so I'm not happy when he goes out there with a lawnmower. I almost panic. And they have a really nice smell. My almond tree is already starting to blossom, and you can smell it, but I love the smell of the rosemary. The herb garden is the nicest garden. When you grow them, it's such a nice flavor. I know this is a little tea. Oh, by the way, if you want to dehydrate these, you can, but you leave them on the stem, dehydrate them first, then take them off the stem. I wish they had a sage plant that I could just go and not have to replant it every year. I haven't found one. If there's one out there, I'd sure love to know if they could take cold weather. Even when you cut it, it smells so nice. Everybody's saying, you're crazy. No. Oh, no. The smells are so nice. Just like flowers, you smell the herb garden. I want to plant more herbs. I'm trying to find another section in the yard that I can do it. At least I can say one thing. They leave the rosemary alone, thyme and oregano. But they went after everything else. I had dill growing, which was really nice, man. They demolished my dill. My poor dill didn't have a fighting chance. So I said I'm going to move it closer to the back of the house by the kitchen door so I can sit there and keep an eye on it. So they come out there. I'm going to be out there. Might go out with a knife, let them know I'm not happy with what they're doing. Well, let me finish and I'll be back. Okay, I'm chopping them up now as much as I can. I'm not gonna lie to you, it really does smell good. You know, I need more black pepper too. I told you, I'm all out of seasonings. I can't believe this. That's like 6 of them. I usually do one at a time. Of course, I have a big seasoning section in my pantry. And then I'm making combinations of seasonings, so it's getting bigger. Oh, this smells so good. See, the binding works, and that's just added protein. You don't want that flour taste, and that binds it and holds it together quite nice. Now we can get a lot of meatballs, and it does smell good. So we're going to have to do them on a cookie sheet because that's the pan over there, the bread's on that I usually use. So I'm going to be using a cookie sheet this time. But I'm not going to do it in a frying pan because when I do it with a frying pan, I have a mess to clean up. So I just learned it much nicer. Do I have anything left? Yes, I do. I'll just sit there and put it on cookie sheets and cook it. Gonna have to grease this some because I don't want them to stick too much. And you know what's also nice? Your hands smell like fresh herbs because the oil gets on your hands. Matter of fact, a lot of perfumes, you don't think about it, are actually made with herbs and flowers and stuff. The sachets that you use, that women use in the drawer, come from not just flowers, but from seasonings combined together to give that nice smell. So if you have an herb garden and you have flowers, you can make your own. And I guess if you want to make oils of the herbs, you sit there and take the herbs and you, I don't know how to do it. I guess you'd put it in oil, you know? I'm not sure. I don't hold me to it. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, we're going to start making meatballs now. I'm going to show you just a few of them, what size they are, and then I'm going to continue and you can, and I'll stop the video for a bit. Well, I'll just pause it. You're going to put your oven at 425. And you're going to make them about this big. I'd say about an inch. That's the size we're going to be making them and rolling them out, and we're going to bake them. So I'll be back. Okay, I have 20 on this cookie sheet. I'm going to put them in the oven and bake them for 15 minutes only. Get another cookie sheet out and continue. So let me get these going and we'll see how the other ones look in 15 minutes. I made a mistake, only baked them 10 minutes at 425. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. I'm going to show you them. And they smell delicious. I do have a little extra oil. I have to pour that off. This is them. We're going to put these in and let these cook for 10 minutes. If you make them larger, you'd have to bake them 15 minutes. That's why I was thinking 15 minutes, but it's really 10 because these are small. Now, I am going to move you over here. I hope I get this done while these are cooling. Probably not. No, what am I putting this? I gotta bring you a little closer. Hold on a minute. I'm going to be using whey, and I'm going to show you how you can make your gravies more nutritious and get extra calcium into your family and protein. And this makes about almost 30 a pound. Making them like this is about 30 little meatballs that you're going to be making. Now we're going to add some butter here. I am going to be winging this. So our gravy is going to be made with whey, and we're going to add powdered milk into it. Let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of butter. We'll definitely know when I start adding the flour how much I put in here. I did have some drippings, but by accident my son knocked it out of the refrigerator, and the cup that it was in, correct, well, it wasn't a cup really, it was a custard cup, because it was a little, I just put it in that and it fell and broke, so I don't have any drippings, so this is why I'm going to make it different. I might use a 50-50, try 50, half whole wheat and half white flour. I got about 1/4 of a cup of butter in here. Well, 4 tablespoons, Sandy, no, you got that wrong, that's less than, but just 4 tablespoons. Get it hot, we'll add 4 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to add 2 wheat and 2 white, just to be different. Though I added the wheat germ to the meatballs, I'm going to add a wheat and white flour to this. And what we're going to do is we're going to toast this flour. I mean, why not be different?
Oh, it smells good.
Thank you. Listen, enjoy your day. Have my blessings. Okay? I told you, sometimes my house gets very, very crazy. I need more butter, I got too much flour. So there, that should balance it out more. Now what we're doing is toasting this flour, just like you would a piece of toast, but you'll smell it. You'll actually smell it. And we are going to be adding lecithin to this. So I'm going to show people who have a cholesterol and said I can't have that gravy because there's too much fat in it. I'm going to show you how you can add lecithin and it eats fat up. So the fat that I put in here we won't have to worry about. granular lecithin I used. It does come in a liquid form, but it is thick. I love the smell of whole wheat flour toast. Alright, you're going to add a whole quart. Even the white stuff you see on the bottom are building blocks of protein, so pour the whole thing in, don't worry about it. We are going to make this more nutritious. We've already added the whole wheat flour. So now I'm going to add in 4 tablespoons of powdered milk and just whisk it, and you will be adding protein and calcium in it for bones, teeth, and everything to keep them healthy. Every time you have a child, you diminish on your calcium and your minerals and everything, so you always have to replenish them. Then you go through menopause and you're going through that as well. A lot of people don't know that in menopause, the glands that were carrying you before you started having a menstrual cycle was actually covering you in your hormones and everything. I'll put this in after this thickens up so you can see it. So when you get done having a menstrual cycle and you go into menopause, you have the reverse. If your glands are healthy and you've cared for them throughout your life, you will find out menopause isn't much. It's very little. You might get a little forgetful or something like that, but it just switches back over the way it was before you started your menstrual cycle. So it's a reverse. But they do produce hormones. If you're healthy, they continue producing hormones. If you're not healthy, the worse your menopause, the worse your glands are, and you didn't care for them properly. This is why I'm trying to show you. You can take recipes and you can make them more nutritious. You can cook your own meals and you can make them more nutritious, or you can create recipes and make them more nutritious. And this all, some recipes I've given you are actually my own. Some of my friends have given me, some come out of my cookbook, some are creative. I change them around to make them more nutritious, to prove to you that you can do this and pick your family's health up without interfering too much with the flavor. Now this is flavorful. That's why I show you the stalks. These peelings and stuff that you throw down the drain of your vegetables and stuff and into the trash have a lot of nutrients that protect the plant, you know, and the fruit, the vegetables and stuff that we eat. So I put them to use, the stems and all. I make stocks with them all winter and autumn and into the spring. Now this actually looks like a milk gravy, but it's not. It's a whey gravy. But adding that powdered milk, you increase the value. And it actually almost becomes, now if you use whole milk, you can still add powdered milk too. You're just increasing the protein and more calcium for your body to absorb. The only problem is a lot of the diets today are missing magnesium, which causes, if you don't have magnesium, find yourself constipated, struggling to have move your bowels and everything else, and you can't absorb calcium. And that is the problem. They've taken so much magnesium out of everything that you can't take magnesium or you throw calcium out. It has to be a balance of 2 to 1. In other words, for, let's say, if you take 500 milligrams of calcium, you must take 250 milligrams of magnesium. And that's the perfect ratio for the body. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. But there are other nutrients that play along with it as well. Potassium, A, D, E, the B's, minerals. But the thing is I try to get as much as I can in all the meals. So I'm covering all the bases so I know the digestion will be better. If you have poor digestion, you're going to have to sit there and get digestive aids with ox bile and acidophilus culture and take it every time you eat until you get your digestive system up. Now, what destroys your digestive system? Medication, illegal drugs, preservatives, and things that are in the food, over the counter, aspirins and stuff. Oh, they wreak havoc on it and you don't realize it. Alcohol, coffee, tea. As soon as you add milk and sugar into them, it becomes a poison. Okay, I gotta get this out. Now where am I gonna put this? Hold on a minute now. I need another pot here. I'll put salt and pepper in this in a minute. I'm going to tell you, they smell so good. Oh, they're so hot. Okay. Now, I am going to add a tablespoon of lecithin. Let me get a tablespoon. Now turn this down to way down. Now we're going to add a whole tablespoon of lecithin. What we're going to do is let it dissolve, and it eats the fat up. I told you the story about my dear friend Tony. He was so happy he was taking his wife out to dinner after he got his cholesterol down. And by the way, the brain needs lecithin too. So there's a lot of things that destroy your digestive system. And once you start destroying that, the nutrients can't get in. Carbonated sodas does it as well, because you belch up gas, right? Well, the gas goes through, and if the gas is in an area next to the wall of the intestines and the nutrients come by, it can't absorb them. So you think about all the things they've put out in the market that are actually quite dangerous to our health. That lecithin is going to cook so nicely in there. And this will be served over rice today. Now the rice I had cooked in, what did I cook it in? I have to remember what I cooked it in. We'll add salt and pepper and get these in, and we will be doing just fine. Now I just bring this to a simmer and get that salt and pepper in. Now I'm not using my kelp on it this time. Where did I put the salt? Okay, Sandra. Oh, here it is. I wouldn't use the kelp with this because the fish flavor would be too strong in it. Because kelp comes from the ocean, you'll have that fish, and you don't want it with this. So I'm going to use iodized salt in this. This is where I have learned through experience what I can and cannot do according to what I'm making. This is why I'm showing you, so you don't have to make those mistakes that I made. Now, I'm going to have to crack some black pepper corns. So you're going to hear some banging. running out of my seasonings.
Okay. Salt and pepper to your taste, the gravy. This is how you make a nutritious gravy, and to make pork meatballs. Sometimes I pour wine, and I mean not wine but beer. That is so good with other seasonings. You would be surprised how nice that tastes too. I don't have to taste this. I know it's good, but I'll do it for your benefit. So, you gotta remember I keep putting it in the window. Need salt. So you have the whey proteins in here. You have the powdered milk in here. You used whole wheat and white flour. 50-50. Well, actually I had to add an extra tablespoon of white flour, so it's not quite 50-50. You added lecithin for people who can't handle fat. So you just think about how nutritious you just made this whole gravy. Instead of just being water and flour, white flour that's missing so many things, there's one actual B vitamin that deals with a lot of mental problems, believe it or not. We'll do a research. I've got information on that, and I'll bring that to your attention. That is a simple gravy. Now I have brown rice left over and a parboiled rice that I cooked in, I think I cooked it in vegetable stock. So I'm going to mix these two rices together, and this will be served over. And that's pretty much it. And for the person who said they wish they could see how I make my gravy, that's how I make a milk gravy. Now if I use the vegetable stock, I don't always, I can sit there and leave the powdered milk out because I get all those vitamins and minerals, and I'll have a darker gravy. So, and if I use bones, it's even darker still, so you get the different ones. If you have drippings and you use drippings, that's going to change the color of it. But this one, because it was whey with powdered milk, I'd call it a milk gravy. But if you want to use regular milk, you can still add the powdered milk. Just whisk it in to make sure it's well blended. And you can do the same thing. So listen, take care. Bye-bye.